I did do a recording one time where the chair that
Did
I'm
you
sitting
say
on just
something
like, I totally Goldilocks it and just like collapsed. Just like,
That's great. I'll make a
it was
bloopers.
amazing. It was amazing. If you can't explain it simply, you simply shouldn't explain it. I can never say that right. Did I say it right?
Yeah, no, I like that. If you
You
can't
can't
simply
explain it. If you can't explain it simply, you simply shouldn't explain it.
There it is. That's the one.
And it's like, I think about this all the time. Like, I sucked at bars. I mean, you would laugh if I told you the routine I did at level 10 nationals. It was not, it's like the level 10 routine you'd see on like a television show that like thought they were showing you a level 10 routine, but actually it wasn't. Yeah, there was like a bounce
My daughter's
back in
watching
it.
a variety of those right now on Netflix, whatever. A lot of them coming out of Australia, and I'm like, gymnastics. I'm like, that wasn't bad.
Oh, Gymnastics Academy. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
totally watching that.
You know that one? Yeah, I don't know. I just looked up, they all had Australian accents, and I was like,
yeah,
nice gym. Where is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to go there. What was I saying?
Throwing yourself into a big bus and how good your bars were.
No, my bars were made. Yourself under the bus. Oh, but understanding now, like now the way that I understand bars, had I understood it then, it would have been a totally different story. Were coaches saying those same things to me in hindsight? Yeah, I just didn't. I never thought about it the way of like, it should just feel like a swing set. That same, stop trying. So like, I just never got it. So I think that we get to a point like coaches that were gymnasts, you go from that to this other side. You have these revelations of like completely understanding the mechanics behind everything. And all you want to do is impart that on them so that they can be as good as you are in your brain now, but with their bodies now, right? It's like almost like giving your younger self the knowledge that you have. Problem is they're not adults. So they're getting these dissertations and it's not helping.
And then they don't bring it to life. And so just like technique, just like culture, like you can know it and have it, but if it's not working, if it's not coming to life, then it's not serving its purpose, right? Like you have to use it. It's got to work for you. Like you just can't have this thing on the wall that's like, here's your drill sets. Like, no, like it's got to come to life in your gymnastics. And if it's not, then you're missing something.
Yeah, you're just doing stuff. You're just doing positions.
You're just talking to kids with the monkey and the symbols going on there.
Yeah. You're like, see how smart I am? See how smart I am?
And the vector is a 38-degree angle from from vertical, and they're just like ching, ching, ching.
Cool. They're just TikTok dancing behind you.
The fun stuff. Yeah. Just
But this brings up something that we've talked about too, where when it comes to drills and being so hyper focused on how do you break every little moment of a skill down so that everything is perfect, so that when you put it together, it's this beautiful masterpiece. And I love that whole aspect of gymnastics. I love finding those things. However, sometimes it's a little bit of overkill. Like we are drilling the step into the step.
Drilling the drill before the real drill.
Drilling the drill, micro drilling the pre-drill of the drill of the drill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sometimes things are lost and sometimes less is more. And I know I specifically have some stuff, especially with front tumbling, where I give 3 words maybe every 10 minutes and just let them figure it out. And do a lot of clapping, like that kind of stuff to get them moving, but like not information. And I think there's certain things that's really effective because then they have to figure it out.
I just put a quote and it was literally speaking to overcorrecting, and it really hit well for me. It was this concept of like so much the technical coaching that has come about in all sports, but I think gymnastics is ground zero because of how technical of a sport we are. A technical correction is something you feel like you can correct immediately, and then you walk away feeling really good about it. You got it. And so that's why like the more drills we implement, the athlete feels good about it, the coach feels good about it, everyone, we're making progress, like, oh, what a great day. And like what's lost a little bit, and this is a total side tangent, this could be a whole nother episode, but like is in that you're not teaching grittiness, you're not teaching competitiveness. Like you're not teaching the athlete how to like troubleshoot and the intensity, because like in a meet, things are going to feel off because now you're on a podium and now this is a speed floor and now this is a dark gym and now there's the extra energy because I drank a Red Bull today because it was a meet and I don't ever normally do that. And so like you've got 9 other contributing factors for why this feels completely different than it always did. And what you can't do in that moment, the last turn before the meet or in the warm up of the meet, is like, we're just going to go down through the drill progressions. And like, you can't do that. You're at the damn meet. You got to show up and be able to be resilient, adapt, and adjust on the fly in the moment because you got 10 minutes to warm up and then you got to show the damn thing. And so like, I think with the drills and the micro, we keep working away from that. And so the antithesis of that is like letting them play and figure it out themselves and not giving them that because they want it. They'll finish a turn and be like, give me the thing I need. Like that was the problem. Okay, thank God. And then I feel good about that. Now I know what went wrong. And you don't ever sit in like an uneasiness. But like that is where we've all said that that's where the growth is, being uncomfortable. And then you having to like sift through the garbage to figure out exactly in your own body, in your own brain, with your own sensory feedback of that was the problem. And every time we take that away from them through telling them what was wrong and then a technical correction of how to fix it, they're going to not be able to be as resilient and responsive and make the adjustments in those critical moments when the pressure is on their shoulders because and so like, we got to get better at doing that. And don't get me wrong, there is a time for drill to really allow them to feel the adjustment that needs to be made to get the skill done. But there's also equal time needs to be spent on letting them figure that shit out themselves. Because in doing that, you're going to increase their ability to do it faster, quicker, better in the intensity of a comp space, comp surface.
So I think there's a couple things here though that are making this such like a mag wag difference. And I agree with you because I will say, and people are going to hate this, but like I developed the highest peak of air awareness that I ever had was probably around 12. And it was from my trampoline. It was from fucking around on the trampoline.
Yeah,
I mean, the stuff I was doing then and knew exactly where I was. I mean, I remember going to Woodward and this was I think I was like 10 or 11. And my air awareness, no, you were not there that time. This is Woodward, Pennsylvania. But yes, Justin and I did meet at Woodward for the very first time.
Out of a very long relationship.
No, see, still going. So I remember they had like the pit that was filled with like rubber, like flotation devices and stuff and like tires, and then just like a bunch of random 8-incher. It was like that kind of pit. There was trampoline into it, but getting to the point at like 10 or 11 years old that I went Rudy in double full out. I knew exactly where I was.
Yeah.
Like I was like a level 7. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I was an elite or anything, but that air awareness came from fucking around on my trampoline so much. Now it was countered with the technique that I was getting in the gym, of course. So I feel like you need both, but I think
that's the thing is you need both.
You need both, but I think with you guys, you on the mag side, you've got 2 things. You've got one, which is until recently, your timeline to peak was so much longer than girls.
There was time to play.
You had time to, as we said, like fucking chuck it and figure it out later, right? Clean it up in a few years from now, but just chuck it. And with the girls, we didn't have that time. The thought was you had to be at your peak by 13. Did not have time for that.
Gotta make time for that is what I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying why I think that there's such a difference there. Like just culture wise, like you guys had the time
I get it.
To be messy and then clean it up. We had to be perfect every step of the way because our egotistical coaches in the late 80s and early 90s had to show everybody how early they could teach a kid a double back. I have a 9-year-old doing full ends. Like, look what I did, instead of having the time because by the time they're 17, they're old. You better bring your cane if you're walking into this meet at 18, old lady, So I think those 2 things
was older for the women than the men.
I love it.
How cool is that?
It's so cool. Yeah. So I hope that just that little like slow the down a little bit, relax. Hopefully that will facilitate that a little bit. And then there's the micromanaging part too. Girls in general, leading up to now where these changes are happening, we're not permitted to be anything less than perfect in every turn that they took and their execution.
That's the antithesis of a growth mindset environment. That is traumatizing for you as an athlete and as a human being. To feel that like you are unable to make mistakes. And so specifically, that's the importance of play. And I pulled up a quote because this is a big one for me. Child psychologist. Scientists have discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it's done in play, in which that case, it only takes 20 repetitions. 20 to 400 if it's done in play for a kid to internalize and create a new synapse of like essentially learning. This is from Karen Purvis. And like, I love that.
Whoa.
Think of how like the methodical, like just regurgitate, but like, think of how we learn as kids. Like so song is play, right?
Yeah.
ABC,
Oh yeah.
song. Like think of how much quickly you absorb information and things when it's done in play. So like gymnastics, like when you play on trampoline, you learn things faster. I can tell you that's one. I would what's the percentage of female athletes that are scared of trampoline compared to men?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I don't know the percentage. I don't know if there is a
No one
percentage,
does.
but
But
it's
like,
huge. Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
would say that it's probably double on the women's side to men. And I think that's it. Like, what's that like to be scared to have your body flipping and twisting in the air as a gymnast?
As a
That is crazy to me. I can't, like, that is nuts to me. Like, and we want them to have good awareness and like have ownership of their landings, but you're scared to flip and twist in the air. For me, that was a big piece of that was a huge focal point for me as I've come into this world, is like, that's exactly why we're going to hit this really hard. Because like for you to feel like scared, I've got some girls flipping front fulls both ways now, both directions. And just like and now like when we like ask them to like change their body shape, head shape, like coming off the vault table, they're not rooted in like every muscle fibers clenched because I'm scared shitless right now. It's like, oh, I can do that. Like, I'm not scared to be in the air. I'm not scared to flip and twist in high spaces. Like,
yeah.
And that allows them to play with making changes. I don't know. I've seen it. I would say that's probably the one polarizing change, like difference I've seen from coming in here and to where we are now, is like this much more at ease and exciting approach to trampoline that I've seen start to show up in floor and vault in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a huge selling point.
Wow.
There's a lot of people out there that, you know, really advocate for using trampoline more than just go have fun. I mean, it's fun anyway by nature, but using it as a training tool.
Yeah.
Hugely
Like
powerful.
we have a front basics and a back basics on tumble track. Tumble track is fantastic too for just, and so, but like we do this trivial thing, talk about again the logic of like one of our for opening passes is tuck jumps. Tuck jumps and then coming back and finding vertical again, right? And so like, and then you go into tuck to front tuck, punch the vertical. And it's because like so many people have a hard time finding vertical for bounding tumbling. And so like if you struggle with a punch front to open up to like a, you know, like to rebound, finding vertical, how do you think you're gonna be able to find like vertical or the right punch angle coming out of your back 1.5? Like you can't do it out of a simple front tuck. You know, and so like I find myself referencing like, remember when we warmed up with like just the tuck jumps and like you're coming out like here, you know, your feet are in front of you, your butt behind you, and your hands are in front. Like no wonder the front layout is skimming
low.
low and long. And so like being able to reference that and be like, find your vertical again, you know. So like see me, but like the first time I had them do tuck jumps, they're like, tuck jumps.
This is Alabama, right?
D1 college, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna come back to this a lot though, and we have.
But that is the fact that we are doing the hardest, or we say coaching now, the hardest sport in the world. We need to make it as easy as possible. We need to explain it simply and break it down simply and stop making it so freaking hard.
Yeah.
And a back 1.5 front tuck serves the same exact purpose, technically speaking, as a front handspring front tuck. You're coming out of that 1.5, you're same as just as if you did a front handspring.
Yeah.
Like it's all, did you see that little elbow drop? That was super smooth. Yeah, just
fall off your desk. Leave that one.
I did do a recording one time where the chair that I'm sitting on just like I totally Goldilocks it and just like collapsed.
That's great. We'll make a
It was
bloopers video
amazing.
of all
It
this
was amazing.
ridiculous.
But yeah, the whole front tumbling thing, I feel really strongly because that's one of the things I lecture on a lot. It's like the back 1.5 into fronts and the front bounding and things like that. But that it's you land a 1.5 the same position except for the arms as you do as a front layout as you do as a front handspring. So instead of teaching 3 different skills, it's just 3 different ways to get to the same thing.
Yeah.
Like and having them recognize that same
hyper-focus
feeling
on the,
every time.
so you've hyper-focused on the arms being the rudder and the difference of how you set for the different skills coming.
I go front handspring, whoa, front layout, 1.5.
Yeah. Okay. Bring it back.
But yeah, so like for a 1.5, they do a full at the point that they're learning 1.5s. Fulls are super comfortable. They don't even feel like they're spinning anymore. So they see the ground on the full and then just pull that arm and still see the ground. So then go into the front tuck and
front fulls.
No, 1.5. Same thing
yeah.
as a front full though. But like, yeah, that 1.5,
Yes.
your brain is still just doing a full. It just opens at the end and then you go into something else.
Mm-hmm.
You don't guess when you're going to hit. It's not a blind thing. What's blind is the front tuck.
That, I mean, we need to get into that, right? The spotting.
Let's do it.
The spotting versus the timing. And again, and I think a lot of these concepts we're talking about increasing your ability, your range of success. I think that's what really all this comes down to, is that you can just train based off timing and feeling all day. And that's a good contributor, but feeling and timing are going to change depending on your sleepiness level, the floor that you're on,
brand of equipment.
Yeah. Right. And so like the way that you tremendously increase your range of success is by using your peepers, using your eyes to know exactly where that floor is, thus your punch point, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can adjust by extending earlier, slowing your rotation down by elongating your body, or like, damn, on this is a little bit lower and longer one, and then bring him in and wrap and still salvage the combo pass.
It's not cheating.
No.
It's being smart.
Cheating, but it's legal.
It's legal cheating.
It's a hack for your combo tumbling.
But, if anybody's going to call Kenzo a hack, then let's do it. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy does, I'm going to say, I change this every time I talk about it. He does 47 twists in his floor routine. Now, I'll tell you, I used this example this year at National Congress. Some girl came up to me after that's actually friends with him. And so she was letting me know she's going to pass on the statistics that I made about his routine. But
47 twist per
47.5 this year. That's what he's doing. But, just saying this guy does whatever, 3.5 to front triple to Randy, like whatever. And if you watch him in slow motion, his eyes are never off the floor. Yeah. Ever. Is that cheating? Is that wrong? Oh, smart.
We played with, because it would be so scary to try to flip a double full out of a 3.5 if you didn't know where that damn ground was, because the tightness and assertive commitment to the punch to do a double full or a triple full out of a 3.5 is so intense. You damn well better know where you are. You cannot do it from timing, because if you biff your timing and you come out of your 3.5 with your feet 2 feet in front of you and you're back like this, that's the end of your lumbar region, ladies and gentlemen. You will never tumble again. Like, that's the thing. You've got to know where your punch point is, where your surface is. And so if you're not, and so here's the other thing with spotting too, is I think when we do the drills, it's so dramatic, right? You like a spot looks like this. It's like whole timeout. Like the flare out when we're start to learning it is, but in reality, a spot really just kind of it's
just glance over your shoulder.
It's just you get your eyes on the floor for a half a millisecond. You're like, that's where it is,
and that's all you have, because
you're back to getting into your combo, right?
Yeah. Because if you wait to see how it is, you've missed the moment.
Yeah. Unless you're super over rotated, and then you've got a lot of time to stall. But that's rarely the case when you're doing. Yeah.
And there goes consistency. So just yet another way of making the sport a little. It's so freaking hard. So we got to find the ways to make it as easy as possible. And that doesn't mean poor technique. It just means like stop making it so damn hard. Like, how come all those years girls had to lever in and out of all these acro skills? Like, because it looks nice when you draw the picture of the person in the book. Because it's not how the body works properly or efficiently. Stop making it so hard.
Like all the drilling for the skill, like, I mean, I guess this is a very, I see this as a very, like, why, and this is maybe you're a great person to ask, but I feel like front folds, back one on a halves are the most common, and front layouts are the most common opening combo skills going into something else, right? That I see. Why is it that we like to find this concave hollow shape going into our bounding? That seems like it's been ingrained in women's gymnastics. Is that me? Am I? So like they'll come out and they'll basically like feet in front of them, rounded, you know, torso, and almost like arms in front, and then like booty pop back to like try to do this, to do a good layout. And I'm like, what is that? Why would you leave your feet in front and have your chest rounded to go into a front combo skill?
I think that a lot of this happens because we're conditioned to extreme positions.
Yes, I guess that's
and we
what
don't know the ones in between. Yeah. I think that's what that is. I encounter that a lot on beam. Like I teach when they land acro, like when they're upside down and their hands are either on the beam, or if they're in like a layout or an aerial, their arms are on the side of the beam. I teach them to keep the beam in between their arms as they stand up, and just right here, right? And every time I go to clinics on these kids are like, okay, go stand on the beam like that. Just go stand like this on straight legs with one foot in front of the other. And then imagine a 500-mile wind comes by. And if you so much as waver, we'll never have a meal again. Now, I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to stand like this? Or do you want to stand like this? Obviously not there. But it's hard because they recognize, oh, as soon as I put my arms up, I feel a little, it's not functional. Like the whole point of beam is to stay on it. So do what makes you balance, not these extreme. So I think with that, there's the idea that if they're doing a front tuck out of whatever you're talking about, they got to get to that. So it's either
you think it's a
jumping the gun and getting there early. Yeah, like rushing, getting there early. Because you can be quick and patient at the same time. And I think that's what tumbling is. You have to be quick in your reaction time, but you have to be patient to do it at the right time.
Yeah, speed and patience aren't the same thing. You say that on vault a lot. Like rushing, but still with a lot of speed, right? Or with a ton of speed. Like they do that all the time with the round off. The round off doesn't finish because you rushed. You could have been slow as hell though. You could have been fast as hell. Like that's irrelevant of how much speed you bring. Yeah. Although I will say that speed is generally your enemy as you're trying to make technical changes. And slowing down helps, which again is why tumble track and trampoline are really good, because it slows down shit a lot. And it exacerbates problems. And that's why actually why a lot of your athletes that have some of the bigger issues with them hate it, because it makes their problem like show up even more. And then you're like, well, no, but this is how we low impact fix this, you know, like
I hated it.
Yeah.
But it didn't even show up until I was already at level 10. Like I was already like, I'm not learning anything else anymore anyway, but could not figure that out for the life of me.
You're really powerful, because power, I mean, like,
yeah, I didn't know how to just like let the thing do the thing.